Hey, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to Life Mastery Decoded, where I help you decode the struggles in your life in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, and spirituality with mind mastery, emotional management, and meditation. Welcome to today's podcast. Hey ladies, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode where I hope I am finding you meditating with ease. If you are not meditating with ease, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. So this is the beginning of the month of May, which has been coined or titled, however you say that, Meditation Month. And we are the Meditation Room TC. And so this is our month. This week on our Lady Rising calls, we are going to be talking about meditation. I'm going to have some really cool surprises coming out for those of you that attend our calls. And if you have no idea about our sister calls, then let me invite you to our Lady Rising group, our Facebook group. Go to Facebook, type in Lady Rising, and when you get the membership questions, say, hey, I learned from Jen's podcast, and then come on in and you'll see right in the featured section a little write-up with a link about our Sister Circle Connection calls. Joining our calls is a place of support. It's a place where you get to be yourself. We get to share about our struggles and our successes and our growth as we go along. And each month is dedicated to a certain topic. And this coming month, May, we have 3 scheduled calls, and I think I'm going to be adding 1 and maybe 2 to this month, where we're going to be dedicated to talking about meditation, how to do it, where to do it, when to do it, and how to set up your practice, creating rituals to build your practice, the location of your practice, and what the frack to do when you are meditating. We know the benefits of meditation. We have been around long enough and you have heard it long enough that health, emotional healing, physical healing, clarity, dealing with our emotions, healing our body, making our life just happier and better. If we meditate, we're able to elevate our thinking to a different perspective to help us solve our problems with ease and overcome our day-to-day challenges. Let me tell you a story. It was probably in the early 2000s, I bet it's like 2005. I started to get a little bit deeper into my spiritual practice and wanting to increase, talk about meditation and begin a meditation practice, but I had no idea where to start. I didn't know where to go or what to focus on. And I would listen to, was a big reader of Wayne Dyer, and I read several of his books, and he has several books. It's like over 45 books or something, like 50 books or something. And, he always encouraged you to start a meditation practice. And he would say, meditation is like, a 10-minute meditation is like getting 8 hours of rest. And I'm like, sweet, I'm going to do that. I'm like constantly suffering insomnia. I'm going to begin a meditation practice. And he says, just simple. He goes, set a timer for 10 minutes and then sit cross-legged with your back erect and just focus on your breathing. I would sit and it would be a little bit uncomfortable. I'd stop the timer, start the timer, and then I would think of all these crazy things that I needed to do, and I'd stop the timer and start the timer. And then at the end of the 10 minutes, I'd like startle, become alert, I would say startle awake really, but to kind of startle, become startled. How about I just say that? Become startled. And I'd be like, okay, did I do it? Did I meditate? And my life didn't really change. So once I practiced that a few times, I became a little bit more frustrated and not really knowing what I was doing. I went to a bookstore. This was now several years later because I had picked up the practice and then I ended the practice and I picked it up again and I tried again because I kept coming around to it in my study. And I was at a bookstore, and on my way to this bookstore that I would frequently visit on the weekends, and on my way to the bookstore, I said, I'm looking for the answer of how to meditate. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Not focusing on my breathing, but what is the depth of my thinking supposed to be like? I'm sure a lot of you have spent hours and hours thinking about how you think, and maybe not, but I do. And I know that there are 2 parts to my thinking, and it's the way thought is received. And I'm trying to understand at this point, how do I use that in meditation, like I'm supposed to stop thought and focus on my breathing. And I just didn't feel like I was being successful. So anyway, so I went with the intention of finding an answer to this question. How do I know how to sit there, I know how to set the timer, I know how to focus on my breathing, but I just wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly. And I go to the bookstore and I go right to the dark corner of the bookstore, which most bookstores have as their self-help section or their personal development section. And I go back there and I'm, do my normal check through, grab my stack of books that I'm going to buy, and I go to leave and I'm walking up to the aisle, and all of a sudden I hear this voice in my head that says, take one more look. And it was as loud as day, as if somebody was standing behind me that says, wait a minute, your answer is right there. So I turn around, I go back to the same bookshelf, and right about chest level, I'm flipping through the books, and this one particular book falls off the shelf onto the floor right at my feet. And I'm looking at this book, and I pick it up, and it is Awaken the Mind by Anna Wise. And I'm like, okay, so I flip through the book, and I immediately open it to the Theta Brainwave. And I'm like, oh, wait, this is kind of weird. It's supposed to be like a meditation book, but we're talking about brain waves. Like, I don't understand. And I start reading it, and it starts to describe this relaxed state, this meditative state. And it starts to pull out these descriptors and describing what it's like to be in this theta brainwave. And I'm like, like, is this really it? Like, if I understand what brainwave I have to get to, then I can understand what meditation really is. So I, of course, take this book. I didn't take it. I bought it. I bought it. I brought it home. I read it, and I just devoured the information, and it absolutely lit up my practice. Now, I'm not going to go into brainwave states here, but I am going to tell you this is the key to beginning a meditation practice, is the theta brainwave. And if you are interested and you don't currently have a practice, or you have the same questions that I do with your meditation practice, then please join me in the month of May. Come to our Lady Rising group, find out when the calls are, join us. We have a call tomorrow night. Actually, it's tonight because I'm recording this Tuesday, but this podcast is going live tomorrow, Wednesday morning, which is when you're probably listening to it. And we have a call tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern. So if this is something that you're interested in, please join us and begin your meditation practice. So anyway, so I read this book, I devour this, I now fully understand, and now it's about practicing. Now it's about putting this practice into place and to start to fully adapt and adopt my meditation practice. So when we talk about our meditation practice, let's just talk about some of the picture of meditation. When we think of picturing somebody who is, sitting, their hands palm up on their knees, and they're oming, and I'm thinking, I don't really understand that, and I can't sit that way very comfortably. My knees don't really like it anymore. So I started to adopt a different practice. It was important to me to understand it was important to me to develop a practice that I would enjoy. Because if you're telling me that the only way to meditate is by sitting in that position, and I can't really sit in that position, I don't want to not meditate. So I'm going to figure out a different way to do it. And so I did. But my point to that is I developed my own practice, my own meditation station, my own rituals that felt good to me, so that therefore I would continue to do this meditation. Now, what has meditation done for me? Well, I will tell you, I am a rainbow of emotions. My emotions are usually all over the place most of the time. I have suffered from depression in the past and suicidal thoughts and tendencies when I was younger. And I deal with, still on a current level, is dealing with anger. But I do notice something. When I am meditating regularly, and that for me is twice a day, no less than 10 minutes each time, and really keeping it in front of me, keeping this meditation thought process in front of me, and keeping those tools, the tools that I teach you, in front of me, using my energy regulator. I'm going to call it that. That's a great name. My energy regulator, which is on the scale from 0 to 10, where am I? And continuing to move my vibration and being in charge of my vibration and my energy frequency, keeping those simple tools in front of me definitely helps. But you know what? I am human. Sometimes I get just swept up into life and life dragging me around, and then I forget, and then my emotions are all over the place. I'm like, you know what? Shoot, guess what I forgot? I better get back on that. And it snaps back into this beautiful space for me to spend more time. That when I get into that space, because I know what it feels like now, I know what I do with my thoughts, I immediately can get back to a higher vibration thinking, problem solving, and creating, deepening my connections, healing my body. So I'd like to be able to share that with you. So I remember meditating. There was a time, I told this in a past podcast, where I had so much anxiety about the household coming home. And not because I didn't love my family, but just because it went from peace and quiet to like mass chaos in a very short period of time, that the anticipation turned into anxiety. And what it ended up doing, because we know that emotions create physical sensations, and those physical sensations then turn into physical items and physical reality, where then through this emotion, this constant repetition of anxiety, I created a tumor in my stomach. And with that tumor, we had to figure out what it was, because obviously I was like, I could feel it in there, and it felt just a little bit bigger than a softball, and I could feel it in there, and my doctor's like, yeah, well, whatever that is, we need to get it out because it doesn't belong there. Anyway, and so we had done an MRI or a CAT scan or something, some test, to see kind of what it was. And this scary doctor, not my regular doctor, but this other doctor, he was anticipating that it was cancer. And because of some way the test came out, and of course that freaked everybody out. And I remember lying in bed, it was like 2:00 in the morning, and I remember lying in bed, tears streaming down my cheek, and thinking, this could be it. Like, this could be cancerous, it could turn into something bigger, there might have to be radiation, I might have to have some sort of a port put in that's like this thing that's attached to my side so they could put chemotherapy or radiation treatments through this port, and then I have to have like a bag. And it was just this crazy dramatic thing that this doctor was telling me, and it was pretty freaky. But while I was laying in bed, tears streaming down my cheeks, I'm thinking, I'm going to be really pissed off if I die, because I know it's kind of funny to say, but I'm going to be really pissed off because I have a lot to accomplish here. And I'm on this planet for a bigger reason, and I'm not 100% exactly how it's going to unfold, but I know it because I can feel it. And I know that there's a bigger reason, and I know that it's not over, that my life isn't over. And I remember as I was kind of getting upset, that just focusing on my breathing and healing this part of my body and sending healing energy to this part. I was not in pain. I had zero pain. I could just feel it. It was like a lump, but it was big. Zero pain. But the symptom I had was because it was resting on my bladder, I had to physically push on my lower abdomen to release urine because my bladder would not expand and then allow the muscles to empty my bladder. And so but there was no pain. I had no pain at all. But I remember laying there and being in this meditative state. And I know it was this meditative state that saved my life, because this doctor was almost 100% that it was cancerous and that we were going to have to go through this big, long process. And I remember being really upset. I found out when I was at work. My regular doctor called me after the tests came through, and she left a message. I may have talked to her in person, doesn't matter. I don't remember. But I remember I was at work and I was really, really, really upset, and I was crying. And this was pretty unbearable news. And then I remember thinking, no, I'm not going to accept this answer. He's not 100%. He thinks he's 100%, but he's not. And I'm not going to accept this answer. So I'm going to do everything in my power to begin the healing process before anything else even starts. And it wasn't until the end of January 2017, I had the surgery to have this tumor removed, and it ended up being endometriosis and a fibroid tumor, non-cancerous, benign. And then the healing after the surgery took place that a lot faster than it would have through my meditative practice. So I have this big giant incision. I had the tumor removed. It was like 11 inches. I lost 11 pounds. I think it was 11, or maybe, no, it wasn't 11 inches. It was 8 inches, and I lost 11 pounds. So this tumor was quite big, quite large. And Anyway, and I remember now thinking after the surgery, now I have this incision. Of course, it's very painful if you've ever had like a C-section or any kind of abdominal surgery. That abdominal area of having surgery is pretty tough and it's hard to come back from. And I remember how painful it was to be in this household with Amy, who's always making me laugh. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you because you are like making me laugh. And it's like ripping my stitches and my incision and whatever. But I remember beginning the healing process, you know, in the evening and meditating and the healing. And I went back for, it was a 2-week checkup. And she's like, wow. She goes, I can't even believe how healed you are. Like you look like this healing and the incision looks like you're at 6 weeks instead of 2 weeks. She couldn't believe it. And I said, it's because I'm meditating. And with that practice, that has healed so many things in my life. And I think that as we get older and our body starts to shift and change, and if we don't keep up with mobility in our body, we start to feel stiffness and sore muscles and aches and pains start to surface. And now you become one of the old ladies that talks about aches and pains all the time and doctor's appointments. And I always resisted that. Like I didn't want to be that person who would do that. I didn't want to be that person who was always talking about aches and pains. But meditation has definitely helped. And it has definitely been something that has shifted my life for the better. When things are a little bit wonky, when I'm feeling an emotion that is clouding my mind and my judgment, that I move into that meditative state. I take the time and the practice to devote because I know that I'll feel better afterwards. And that's a very empowering choice. Sometimes we get into that mood, we get into that pain point and that victimhood mentality, that complaining mode, and we're like, poor me, look at the things, look at all the suffering, look at how hard things are. And we are in a society where that is a topic of our conversation. But what I'm asking you to do is in that moment, before you pick up the phone, before you talk to your spouse, before you complain to a coworker, is that you say, do I want to feel this way anymore? And if the answer is no, then it is up to you to say, I'm going to change. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I just want to feel better. I just want my vibration to be higher. I just want to feel happy and healthy and vibrant. Then it is up to you. Then you say, okay, I'm going to stop everything I'm doing. I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to focus. And what I want you to do is I want you to focus on healing. Just that. Heal your energy, heal your mood, heal your physical body, anything, and just heal. Bring in a white light and scan it through your body, really saturating the place that hurts. And if it doesn't hurt anywhere, if you're lucky enough not to have physical pain, then heal emotional pain. Heal depression or anxiety. Forgive yourself for wallowing in those emotions for so long, and understand that you have a choice. You have a choice to continue down the path of suffering or to move towards a place of empowerment. And I hope you choose empowerment. And I hope to see you on the call because I would love to be able to give you more of this information about your meditation practice, ways that you can really pull in the reins to your own healing, to your own relationship with yourself, to your own happiness, and begin a meditation practice. So if you want to join us, go to Facebook, type in Lady Rising, and go to our featured section. You'll see the post that says our sister circle or our sister connection calls. Click on that, go all the way to the bottom. There's a link and sign up for our calls. They are $11 a call and they are worth every penny plus some. The information that you're going to be learning in our May call is going to change your life. If you liked this episode, please share this with 3 of your friends. And if you like this episode and look forward to future episodes, please consider making a small monthly donation to help support this podcast. If you're looking for a community to join and have more access to me, then consider joining one of my communities. Chakras for Beginners is an energy-based community that is highly active and growing every day. Lady Rising is a sistership community where the focus is on spiritual support and empowerment. We hold monthly calls and talk about topics just as like today's episode. We also have an online store where we can meet your meditation and chakra needs with products for your journey. You can visit us at www.themeditationroomtc.com. Thank you for joining me and being a valued listener.